My name is Heather Johnson. I'm one of the recruiters here with ALTIA Central. And today I'm just going to be talking about living and working in Japan, the role of an ALT, and what it's like working with ALTIA Central. Everybody kind of has their own motivation for coming to Japan, whether that be for interest of the Japanese culture, or maybe it's the pop culture of anime, manga, or cosplay. Maybe you like the food, or maybe you are interested in Japan because you've heard that it's a safe place, clean, nice people, etc. I hope that everybody, though, has at least a little bit of an interest in teaching English in Japan. And there are multiple paths that you can take for teaching English in Japan. You don't just have to be an ALT. You could also look into Eikaiwa, which is an English conversation school, usually working with anybody from ages 2 to 85 and everything in between. Usually these sessions are in the afternoon to evenings, after school or after work. There is international kindergarten, where you are normally the sole teacher planning the curriculum, the lessons, the materials, homework, etc. There is business English, where you're working with adults, or this could be a direct hire with a corporation. And then there's university teaching, where you're working with university students. Again, you are the lead teacher, so curriculum planning, lesson planning, everything in between. And then, of course, there is being an assistant language teacher. And before we get into the role of an assistant language teacher, I want to talk about the type of visa that you need to be an ALT. So as an ALT, you would be working in public schools. And to work in a public school, you need an instructor visa. And immigration has certain qualifications and requirements to obtain an instructor visa. So one of these is having a bachelor's degree and being from a native English-speaking country, or having 12 years of education conducted in English. If you can show or prove that you've had 12 years of education conducted in English, meaning all the subjects were taught in English, then you will be able to have an instructor visa. So that is the requirements for an instructor visa, and you have to have an instructor visa to be able to work in public schools. There are some other visas, like a spouse visa, a permanent residence visa, and a long-term visa that is also acceptable, but those have their own set of requirements. This is the main visa that most of our ALTs have. All right. So for ALTIA Central, ALTs, we mainly work in elementary school and junior high. Sometimes we work with kindergarten, but that might be once or twice a month, once a week at most. And then there are mixed positions where you might work with elementary and junior high, or maybe all three of those levels. Now that might sound scary, because that means that you're working in more than one school. Well, to be honest with you, the ALT industry as a whole, not just with our company, but on average, ALTs do work with 3 to 5 schools. Now, that doesn't mean that you'll be going to 5 schools in one day. For a week schedule, let's say you have a mixed position. It might be elementary school is on Monday, Wednesday, junior high school is on Tuesday, Thursday, and maybe Friday is kindergarten. So usually you will go to only one school for that day. All right, so now we're going to get into the heart of it, the role of an ALT. I will say that the role of an ALT is more of an assist and support type of role. It's more about understanding the teacher's needs, their expectations. And the teachers you'll be working with are in junior high school, it's going to be a Japanese teacher of English, or JTE. And in elementary school, teachers are known as homeroom teacher, or HRT. So it's all about being flexible and available to help them out with whatever they need as much as possible. So some of the things you might do as an ALT is lesson planning with the teachers, suggesting activities for the next class, echoing the teacher in English in the classroom, and everything in between of that. For junior high school, more than likely, the JTE will be the lead for English class. For elementary school, it kind of depends. So there's some elementary school teachers that are the lead for English class, but there are others that may ask you to be that lead for English class. It kind of depends, and you have to be adaptable and ready to fill the role as that teacher needs it. In those cases that they do ask you to be the lead, I would say use encouragement to try to get them involved in lesson planning with you and more in the classroom with you, because over time that will build up their confidence, and one day they will want to lead an English class with you. I would definitely say that this role is more of a customer service role. For us as a company, our customers are the Board of Education, and the face of our customers, that's the teachers that our ALTs work with. Now, of course, we work with students every day as well. So the kinds of things that we do for students, we provide an opportunity to use that English with them that they are learning in the classroom. And we do this by having conversations with students, getting to know them a little bit, and in turn, they are learning about us and our own cultures. And we also want to share other countries' cultures, so they do get that window to the outside. So that is the role of an ALT with teachers and with students. So I would say, in conclusion, some of the characteristics that we're looking for is someone who is adaptable, because you are working with multiple teachers and they do have their own teaching styles, and you need to be able to adapt to those teaching styles so that you can make suggestions for their lesson plans, or maybe design a worksheet with them. And the students as well, they all have their own learning styles. So being able to adapt to that, or possibly when you are leading an activity, you see that maybe it's too easy or too hard for the students, and you need to be able to adapt quickly to be able to continue that activity, or to make sure that the students are having fun learning English with you. Being approachable. For us, being approachable means that the teachers and the students are comfortable with coming to you, talking with you, learning more about you. And this is especially important for creating those opportunities for the students to have conversations with you, and just the opportunities to use English with somebody from another country. And being available. Of course, for working with the teachers, we want to be available to help them out as much as possible, whether that be for events, lesson planning, making materials, but we also want to be available for the students, not just in the classroom, but also outside of the classroom during a normal school day. And really, this starts before and after class in the hallways with just a hello and how are you? But it could also be during the play times or school events like sports day, graduation, clubs, festivals, cleaning time, just creating these opportunities throughout an entire school day that they can have a conversation with you. So yeah, I would say that these are the 3 A's of being an ALT: adaptable, approachable, and available. So now we're going to go into what an average day of an ALT kind of looks like. This is an example of an elementary school schedule, but I will also let you know what junior high school looks like as well. It's very similar. There's just some small differences. So for the working hours of an ALT, it's usually somewhere between 8 to 5 p.m. Every area, every Board of Education kind of has their own set of hours. So it could be 8:30 to 4:30. It could be 8 to 4. It could be 8:45 to 5. It kind of depends on the area and what that Board of Education has set for the working hours for the ALT. But it's always going to be somewhere between 8 to 5. Now, students start to come in at about 8, and this is a great time to greet the students and say hello, good morning, etc. Usually at about 8:45 or 8:30 is when your first class is going to start. Classes in elementary school are normally 45 minutes, and in junior high school, they are 50 minutes. And usually the first 2 classes are consecutive for elementary school. And then afterwards, there's usually a recess or playtime in between. Now for junior high school, there is no recess, so it is 4 consecutive classes back to back. There is a break in between each class. So for elementary school, it is 5 minutes. For junior high school, it is 10 minutes. Usually after the 4 classes in the morning, there is lunchtime. And lunchtime is normally with the students. Now, depending on the school, they may have a schedule of which classes you will be going to for lunch. Other schools may want you to eat with the teachers, and this is a great time to build rapport with teachers, kind of help them set up for lunch as well. So in either case, it's a great way to either build a positive impression with the students or build rapport with the teachers. After lunch, there is playtime or recess, and it's a little bit longer to just give the students a little bit of a refresher, a little bit of a break. And after playtime, there is cleaning time. And this is where the students and the teachers come together to clean the whole school for about 10 to 15 minutes. And this is something that happens at every public school across Japan. So it is, it's not just specific to one area, it is everywhere. In the afternoon, there are 2 more classes. Now, that means that there is 6 classes, but that doesn't mean an ALT will have 6 classes in a day. Usually ALTs will have English class maybe 2 to 4 times in a day. This allows you to have 1 to 2 periods to either lesson plan or make materials or maybe meet with the teachers to talk with them a little bit or make an English board, etc. So it does give you a little bit of extra time. And then after sixth period, that means that school is finished. So for elementary school, this is a great time to say goodbye to the students at the shoe locker while they're changing their shoes and just say goodbye, see you tomorrow maybe, or see you next time, depending on what your schedule may look like. Now in elementary school, clubs are not as common. There may be clubs, but again, not as common. They're more common in junior high school, and you are more than welcome to join the clubs. Just make sure that, of course, the English teachers that you're working with, that they are okay with that. And if they don't have an English club, for example, and you would like to start an English club or maybe start an art club that is conducted in English, you can definitely check with either the vice principal or the English head to see if that is something that is possible. Now, I will say that for junior high school, classes may end at 3:30 or it may end at about 4 o'clock. And you can join those clubs at the end of your working hours. Let's say that's 4:30. If the club is still going, you can choose at 4:30 to just politely get up and leave for the day. That is totally fine. But if you do stay for the entire club and it does run after you are supposed to leave for the day, just know that that is volunteering your time and that you won't necessarily be paid overtime for that, but you are more than welcome to stay for the club. We do not have any problem with that. All right, and so that is what a day for an ALT might look like. So let's talk a little bit about ALTIA Central and what we offer and what it might be like to work with ALTIA Central. So to start with, our interview process is all online, so it is remote interviews. And we may ask you to do a demo lesson video to kind of understand what you might be like in a classroom. We may also ask you to do a Japanese interview at the end to kind of understand where your Japanese level is at. So let's say that you go through our interview process, you have finished your application, you are done, you are an approved applicant, and now you're wondering, well, when will I be placed? When will I be hired? And this is a very good question. So I want to give you kind of an idea. So for us, for the ALT industry in general, the beginning of the school year starts in April. And so we place all of our ALTs in all of the positions that we have at the beginning of the school year. And if this was a perfect world with no emergencies, no personal matters, we wouldn't need to hire anybody again until the following school year in April 2026. But this is not a perfect world. Emergencies do happen, life happens. And so any positions that we have available after April starts, that means that the available position is because an ALT can no longer continue that school year. So because of that, it is a sudden opening. We can't really predict when it's available, where it's available, or how many positions are available in a given month. But we can use data to predict when we might know. So when we do interviews and we collect applications, it's to collect a pool of applicants so that when these positions do become available and match your preferences, then we are able to contact you and offer you the position. So I can say right now for June, currently we don't have any positions available. However, for September, which is the second semester, we will probably have positions that are available, and we'll know what positions are available probably closer to the end of July, around July 20th or so. So that's what that kind of looks like. It is easier to predict and know the full picture for what's available for an April starting position, because in December, we contact all of our ALTs and ask them, hey, would you like to continue working with ALTIA Central, or would you like to move on from here? And so we do get a picture of when we do get a picture of what positions are available, and we start placing ALTs usually in February for April starting positions. So I hope that gives you kind of a little bit of a clear idea of how placement kind of works. Now we operate in 13 different prefectures, from Shizuoka to Hiroshima. Our four biggest locations are Aichi, Gifu, Okayama, and Hiroshima. We do operate in the Kansai area, which is Osaka, Hyogo, and Kyoto, but it is a very, very small presence. Just to give you an idea, in Osaka, out of the 350 positions that we have, there's only 6 in Osaka. And in Hyogo, there's only 2. And it is nowhere near Kobe. It is up near the coast. So very, very small presence. So if you are specifically looking for something in Osaka, in Hyogo, or in Kyoto, we may not be able to help you out, because I'll be honest with you too, when someone is placed there, they never leave. So it doesn't give anybody new much of an opportunity to go into those areas. All right. So what we offer in benefits is really quite competitive in the industry, I would say. First, we offer a full salary paid every month, even during those months where you may not necessarily be working. So when I say that, I'm talking about August or summer vacation. Usually there are no classes. Depending on your area, there may be events. So maybe a speech contest for a couple of days, maybe a summer camp for a couple of days. It kind of depends. But for the most part, you will not have classes in August. You will not be asked to go to school, but we do pay you for that entire month in full. That also includes winter and spring vacations, which is maybe half of December and half of January, and maybe a couple of weeks in between the end of March and the start of April. There are even some areas that the ALT is not scheduled for the year until May. So it could be the case that even in April, you are paid that full month salary. If you would like us to set up an apartment for you, we normally place our ALTs in Leo Palace apartments, and we do take care of the key money and the deposit. So all you would need to do is take care of the rent from there. Now this is an option, but it's also an option if you would like to find your own accommodation. You can absolutely do that. In that case, the key money and the deposit and guarantor would be your responsibility, but it is kind of up to you on whether you would like to go with an apartment that we can set up, or if you'd like to find your own apartment. If you are in a driving position, which I will say the majority of our positions are driving, we do have a limited number of non-driving positions, but it would definitely help if you are able and comfortable with driving. It would help us place you a little bit faster and consider you for available positions. But if you are in a driving position, we do offer company cars. And with that, we always take care of the lease and the maintenance of that car. We do have 2 driving plans. The first one is a work-only plan, in which you would only use it for work, nothing in between of going from work to your apartment, but we take care of 100% of the cost. We have a Work Plus plan in which it opens it up for personal use, and we still take care of the lease and the maintenance, the parking, but we would ask you to take care of the insurance and the gas. The insurance is 8,000 yen or $80 US, and the gas is, well, however much you would like to drive. So that's just some of the benefits that we offer with ALTIA Central. There we go. So we also offer fantastic training. We have a hybrid system. We would give you access to our training website, in which you would be able to view our online videos and content, materials, and that's at your own pace, anywhere, anytime. We also couple that with a 2-day in-person training where we kind of go over more in depth into those topics that you were already looking at, and it gives you a chance to do things that you can't really do online, like practicing introducing an activity or getting live advice from the trainers. We also follow that up with follow-up training, usually about 2 or 3 months after you have been in school, to kind of talk about what worked for you, what didn't work for you, what you could do a little bit different. And then there is Professional Development Day, which is where all of our ALTs, once a year, we talk about the role of an ALT, where it's going, and any changes there might be to the curriculum, to the textbook. And then there are sessions that you get to choose from to facilitate your own growth as an ALT. To couple that training, we have unique, original, high-quality resources as well. We've got flashcards, CDs, activity guides, lesson plan guides, guides for outside of the classroom, and much more. So this is kind of a toolbox of resources that you can mix and match so that you are adaptable for any classroom situation or anything that the teacher may request or ask if you just kind of have. We also have ongoing support as well. We have supervisors for all of the areas that we operate in. We also have local area lead teachers that you may be able to reach out to as well. But for the supervisors, you can reach out for advice, or if you're having any issues, or if you have a question about life in Japan in general. Now, they will try to come see you maybe 2 or 3 times a year. Basically, they would go to one of your schools, they would see one of your lessons, and then they would give you feedback and also just check in with you if there's anything that you want to talk about, any advice you might be looking for. And it doesn't just have to be about school. It can be about life in Japan in general, which is something that I really appreciated when I was an ALT. Now, I think that because of our benefits, our training, our resources, our support, that is why ALTIA Central has a positive reputation. But you don't have to just take my word for it. Please, I do encourage you to look on Reddit, look on Glassdoor, look on LinkedIn, to look at some of the reviews that we have as a company. But I think overall we do have a positive reputation. All right, and that is the end of my presentation. So I would love to answer any questions or give you any extra information that you might need. No, absolutely. We are very transparent. On our website, we list all of our areas, and it also has the pay rate for all of our areas, also the levels that you might be working with, and what kind of insurance it might be, whether it be Shakai Hoken, which is insurance that comes through the company and out of your paycheck directly, or if it's Kokumi Hoken, which is where you would pay directly to the city hall or ward office or local city hall, essentially. So it is, in general, in a standard contract, 240,000 yen. That's a good question. So ALTs do receive 10 days of annual and sick leave. 5 of those days are chosen by the company that we place throughout the year. So you would have 5 that you could use throughout the entire year. Now, for us specifically in the ALT industry, there's usually a 3 to 6 months probationary period before you can use that. However, with ALTIA Central, we understand that you can't really plan getting sick. So you can use your annual leave immediately. So if you get sick within a month or so, it's okay to use that. You do not have to worry about that. So I would say that we look for a mixture of things. So we do look at you know, your prior experience in education or working with children, your connection to Japan, if you've studied abroad. We look at your Japanese level. We look at what type of bachelor degree you might have, if it's in a related field. I would also say that we look really in-depthly into personality as well. I think a big part of this position, kind of like we talked about, is being approachable. And so having a very energetic, upbeat personality definitely helps. Now, if you're a little bit more of a serious person, that is okay, because that'll fit right in nicely with maybe a junior high school, because junior high school does get into the more finer details of English grammar. Elementary school, I would say, is more more energy is required, because it's more about setting that motivational foundation down before it does get into the nitty-gritty of English. So you want them to remember English positively for later, so that they still have that motivation to continue learning English. So ALTs, they receive a yearly calendar. And so you will know exactly what school you're going to every day within a calendar year from April to March. There may be maybe 1 or 2 changes during a year, or there could be no changes at all. But usually the yearly schedule is pretty much set. If there are any changes, then if your school doesn't tell you, we will definitely tell you as a company if there are changes. It is very, very rare for that to happen. Again, out of the 350 positions that we have, there may only be 1 to 2 people that do that. In that scenario, it usually is a mixed position in which you are working with maybe an elementary school and a kindergarten. So it might be the case that you work with a kindergarten in the morning, and then in the afternoon you go to the elementary school. A kindergarten usually closes in the afternoon, so that's why you might go to 2 schools in one day in that case if you are working in a kindergarten. But this again is very rare, and it doesn't really happen. If it is a position in which that might happen, we would let you know when we're offering it to you that that's what your schedule might look like. And you are free to either accept that offer, or you can always say, that is not for me. And then we can look for a position that is a little bit more standard in that case. How common is it? It kind of depends. Again, it's about a mixture of things. So, you know, you could have the right mixture of things, like maybe your degree is in linguistics. Maybe you've worked as an ESL teacher before. Maybe your personality is really bright. Maybe your demo lesson video was very good, very simple and easy to understand. You can adjust your English level. In those cases, if you do not have Japanese ability, but you still have some kind of connection you to Japan, or that you can show you're able to you are able to perform the skills that we need for an ALT, then we would look for positions in which it might be more junior high school only for you in that case, so that it is a little bit more doable. Because if you're in an elementary school, to be honest, if you don't have Japanese ability, you may struggle a little bit. That is a good question. I honestly, I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head, but what I can say is that we hire ALTs from all over the world. So we hire from the Philippines, we hire from Indonesia, we hire from India, we hire from honestly just all over the world. We work with lots of different countries. So now I will say that if that individual doesn't meet the visa requirements for getting an instructor visa, which again is having a bachelor's degree and having 12 years of education conducted in English. If you don't have those 2 things, then we are not able to help you out in that case, because we wouldn't be able to get you an instructor's visa from immigration to work in a public school. And in those cases, I would suggest looking into a Kaiwa, because an English conversation school requires a humanities visa. And a humanities visa doesn't have the same kind of strict requirements and qualifications to be able to receive that visa. let me start off with first, first for coming over to Japan. I think on our website, we recommend 2,500, but 5,000 would also be quite comfortable. We can arrange accommodation for you. The accommodation would be, we would take care of the key money and the deposit. So all you would need to do is take care of rent. Now you can pay first month's rent, which is normally about $600. But if that's not doable, we can take out 2 months rent out of your first paycheck. Now you're right. If you start April 1st, your first paycheck will be May 20th. And it's going to be rather small because 2 months of your insurance and 2 months of your apartment rent are going to come out of there. So it's going to be a little bit of a shock, but it's necessary because you have to have health insurance and you have to have a place to live. That is the end of today's session. There will be another session in a couple of months. But I want to thank everybody so much for coming out today, and you have a wonderful day.